All right, welcome back. I believe you must have tried your hands with the rest of the props, and I believe some of you have struggled. So let's see how we can create some of them. I won't be creating this particular one, so you had better create yours. So let's see how you do. So post it on the Discord channel. So I see your work in progress. I won't create this for you. I might not create this one for you. So let's see. So this table looks like it has four parts that has this extruded sides. So we're going to see how we can recreate the table with the assumption that we know what it looks like, because this is the only image we have of this table. So let's see how we can create that. So first, let's add a cube. You already guessed it, right? Some of you have already done it. So let's add a cube. Let's bring it down. Let's look at it from the front view. Don't forget the front view. You press 1 to go to the front view, 3 to go to the side view. So let's make sure that it aligns and your object sits on the cube, right? So let's scale it on the x-axis a little past the prop itself, right? Pressing your middle mouse button to pan around your 3D viewport to see it from different side. Let's also scale it on the y-axis there. Okay, somehow looks like our table is more bigger than this other one, but it doesn't matter. All right, so what do we do next to get this for design or for extruded parts? Let's see how we can get. Let's tap to edit mode, press tab to go to, and anytime you hear me say tap to edit mode, it means I'm saying you should press tab to go to edit mode. So we're going to add edge loops. So what does that mean? I believe I spoke about it in the last, I don't know if I spoke about it in the last lesson, but let's add edge loops. So it means, you see all these lines you see, like the edges you see here, we can actually add them manually to to your mesh. So how do you do that? Just hold down Control and press R and hover around your cube, so it will show you guidelines on where to add edge loops, whether here or the middle, here. While you're still hovering around, you've not clicked anything, you're still hovering around, you're seeing it there. So another thing you should note is that if you want to increase your edge loop, all you have to do is just scroll your middle mouse button and you increase the amount of edge loops you want to have on your cube, right? But for this one we just need 2 edge loops. So once you're okay with it, you click once. So you can see, if you click once and move your mouse, it will show you another guideline on where you want to place it, right? So for me, I just want to place it where it is, so I'll just press escape or my left mouse button to clear that selection, right? So we just added another edge loop to our table or our mesh. So another thing is that while it's still selected, you can press S and X to scale it on the, I think, front view. All right, yeah, front view. Why is it not moving? So it moves with G. So for some reason it's not moving. Okay, don't worry, we'll come to median points. We'll come to that. I had already created this already, so this is me recreating again. So by default yours should have scaled along the x-axis because it's set to median point. The origin is set to median point. This origin is set to median point. So somebody is asking, what is median point? I don't know how to explain it to you, but shall put it at median point. So placing it here, just scale it to like this point, All right. Okay. So add another edge loop by the side, 2 of them. Let's use your middle mouse to scroll to increase edge loops. So we'll scale it on the median point. Okay, I'm going to add another one here, 2 of it too. This time we'll scale it on the y axis. Alright, I think we're okay. It's not as perfect as I wanted it to be. So let's scale it again inward. So we have kind of like equal edges. The reason why I'm trying to have that equal edge is because we're going to bevel these sides like we did our previous lesson. So we're going to bevel these edges. Okay. All right. So next thing we're going to extrude this inner part. So we'll switch to face selection and select each faces on every side. Each faces on every side. We'll select each faces on every side. So now let's talk about pivot point. So if you hover around, you can say pivot point. So by default it sets to median point. So what, from my own understanding from the way I'm going to explain it to you, is that wherever your origin is, or wherever your origin is, that is where your object will be scaled or moved, or let's use the word transformed to. This is what I mean. So let's say the origin point is at your 3D cursor, right? So you want everything to scale or move according to where your 3D cursor is. So if we scale this right now, it's actually scaling to where the 3D cursor is. So let's say your 3D cursor is here. Just click outside here and we decide to scale. It will scale according to where that pivot point. So wherever it's more like where you want the direction of your edits to go or your transform to go, it will just follow suit. So the next one is the individual origin, which is what we're going to use here. So it means that whatever is selected will be affected by that particular selection individually. So let's say we've selected this, for example, and we want to extrude, and this is already set to individual origin. So if we press E to extrude right now, you can see that it extrudes individually, right? It extrudes to its own individual origin, which is what we want. All right, so if you're careful with the extrusion, because some of you might just extrude it too much, so just be careful. So you want to extrude it very little, and that's it. All right, so next one, we want to extrude it again. This one time we'll cancel it with the escape key or your left mouse button and scale it still within the individual, so that everything is uniform, everything is consistent. All right, again, I'm sorry if you heard my dog. I'm really sorry. I think I need to pull him outside. All right, so this is it. So we have to scale it again to have this, this clean extrusion inside. So we'll just extrude it again and cancel with the escape key. It's extruded, but you've just cancelled it, still on top of the other mesh. So what we do now is just scale it in instead of extruding it in. So we have this. All right, hold on, cancel that. Let's cancel that. Let's extrude it again and scale. Hey, hold on, like we did initially. Okay, and let's extrude again just a little bit inside. Okay, so all the parts are extruded the same way. So the next is we scale it by pressing S to scale. So if you tap to object mode, you can see we have that like effects. What we have here, this is what I assume it is on different parts. This other one looks like it's extruded inward, but we'll just stay consistent. Okay. All right, so the next thing we are going to do, I don't know if you understood what I did right here, but let me Control Z and let's do it again, just so you understand it. So what I did, I selected each middle faces on different sides, right? Make sure you change to individual origin so you can scale. So if this is the median point by default and you try to extrude, it won't. It will extrude according to where the origin point is of this object. You see, the origin point of this is at the middle, so it's going to transform based on where the origin point is. So when you set to individual origin, you're saying that every selected object or every selected faces or edges, right, or vertices, it should scale according to that selected object. So that's why we change it to individual origin. So we are actually creating an origin point for each selected object. So that's what I mean. So if we extrude now, you see each origin, each selected faces has their own origin point. So you could see with the guideline, the blue guideline that you see right there, right? So we extrude it again, cancel with escape or your left mouse button, scale it in. So you see it affects every other part because they are all in their individual origin. They are not using this particular origin right here. This yellow dot you see here is the origin of this entire mesh. But when you set to individual origin, it says that okay, so you're asking 3D software to scale or transform rather to the individual selected objects, whether it's vertices or faces or edges. All right, great. So the next thing we're going to do is extrude it in again, just a bit, don't overkill it. All right, so that's cool. All right, then we scale. Yes, we scale it in. So I don't know how many of you got it right when you were trying it out, but I just thought we should, instead of allowing you struggle, let's just do it together. All right, so that's it. So let's tap back to object mode. All right, so before we add smooth to this, let's bevel it, because no object or nothing is ever sharp in this world. Everything has, smooth edges, beveled edges. So let's see how we can, bevel all these sides to avoid it. Always bevel. Sorry. Always bevel. I think that's one of the mistakes I made in my journey. I always make things perfect, too sharp. I mean, especially when they are not machines. Even some machines have beveled edges. So always bevel your work. Always bevel everything. Bevel everything. It adds that professionalism to your art. So Control B. All right. So 6 is fine. Let's see. 3 is okay, so we don't overshoot. I think this is okay. 3 is fine. It's fine. So you can check the width if you're not okay with it. What I'm doing, I'm just clicking and dragging. You can use this arrow key here to adjust it. All right, so I think I'm okay with this. So if we tab back to object mode, you can see they're all sharp, looking sharp and all of that. So if we press W to smooth it out, come to your object data property, look for normals and set it to auto smooth. All right, so I think we are good to go. All right, for some reason I think we should add some edge loops to this middle part. I don't know if it's going to work. I think it will. So let's add a few edge loops here. Maybe, yeah. I think we'll just leave it like that. It's okay. We don't entirely know what it looks like, right? So let's not overkill it. I think another thing we should do is add another bevel on each edge here. So we'll just select all these edges around these sides. Select this one, select this one, select this one. All right, so Control B. Okay. Smooth. Okay, so we have this beveled, part. So I think I'm okay with this. Right, another thing I would love to do, like we did the other one, is to just separate the top part. So when we are texturing this, table, we just texture it differently. We know that it has a different material. So let's quickly separate the top part. So let's go to front view, make sure you're in face selection, come to wireframe, or you press your Z key to come to your wireframe or solid view. So we're on wireframe view, click outside to clear all selection, or you press toggle A, press A to toggle to clear all the selection. So what we want to do is just click outside and drag, select the top part, make sure you check that all the parts are selected. All right, so you just press P and separate. So we've separated the top, the top table from the ground one. Okay, another thing I would like us to add is solidify modifier to make the table a bit thicker, to make this top part a bit thicker. So just come to modifier, come to add modifier, then look for solidify. So when you add solidify, it looks like nothing shows. So if we increase this now, so you see that it has added some thickness to the table. Yay! So modifier, solidify, just play with this value. Don't overshoot it. So minus 0.303 is fine. Or you can go to the reverse, which is going inward. So this is fine. It adds that thickness to the table. So that's how you add thickness to any object. Okay, so next is this one. I said I won't create this one, I already told you. So create this. All right, next is I believe this is simple enough. The CD is simple enough to create. All right, so let's quickly do that. Just add a circle, tap to edit mode, make sure you're in vertices. If not, you try to extrude it, it will work for some reason. So I think edge also works too. Okay, edge works. So I'm saying if you're in face, it doesn't have a face, so you can't actually extrude or edit this mesh when it's in the face mode. So either face, edge or vertices. I usually use vertices. So you press A twice to toggle selection to select everything. Okay, then extrude, clear the selection, the extrusion with escape or your left mouse, scale it in. So this is this dark part here, and extrude again, scale it in, extrude again and scale it in. Okay, I think there's another extrusion in here, so we'll use the solidify to achieve that. All right, so I think that's it. I mean, we're done. So I want to make it a bit more stylized. Come to face selection, hold down Alt to select this area around here. So let's just extrude it down just a bit. So I think that's okay. So we'll just add modifier, solidify. I think the default value is fine, 0.01 is fine. So we'll leave it like that. Come to top view, scale it to have that placement. All right, so I think that's it. You can either choose to smooth it out. Yeah, so I think that's okay. So if you haven't already created yours, there you go, that's how to create it. So for the next, the other ones are these ones, which I told you I already did them, so it's not difficult. If you already created this, all you have to do is just duplicate it, bring it over here, rotate it along the x-axis at 90 degrees, place it by your wall. Or let me show you the one I did initially. So this is the prop. Yeah, this is what I did initially. I think I'll delete this one because I didn't like this one. So this is it, what I did initially. And I also created my CD. Let's take that out. Let's delete the first one I did. So what I did was, duplicated this. It's just a cube. Once you just add the cube and you've scaled it to your satisfied proportion, you tap to edit mode. While everything is selected, just Ctrl B to bevel, smooth, and that's it. That's it. It's that quick. So I duplicated it. First I created a floor by adding a plane. You know how to add a plane already, so just Shift A, add a plane. All right, scale it to your desired proportion. Place it. Let's make sure that the table is sitting on the floor like that. Okay, so what else? I added the wall. I duplicated it, rotated it, and I rotate it along the x-axis by 90 degrees. All right, so this is the CD. This is this one right here. I think it's the CD plate or the rack, I don't know. And this is the CD. I just placed it in and just had this nice composition right here. Cool. So I believe you've done yours. So let's quickly introduce you. Let me introduce you to materials. How to add colors and material to your scene. All right, so if we go back to this, we'll try to add these textures. I'll show you where you can get good textures for your for your model. The reason why I chose to create this is so that you get used to adding textures and making your scene or your prop beautiful. So quickly, in our next lesson, we are going to first add textures to our models. Then we'll add lighting. We'll try to mimic, I like the lighting composition here. It's cool. It has this cozy feel to it. But I'll show you the basic principle on how to light a particular object. Right, so you'd have nothing to worry about. All right, great. So in our next lesson, we'll take you through how to texture your objects, light it up, and we render, and we'll be done with the introduction to Blender. So at the end of this particular class or this particular course for introduction to Blender, you must have known how to model, or your hands has been dirty enough to start creating a character. So because that's what you'll be needing in the next course, which is character creation, sculpting. We'll be going into sculpting. So this basic principle of modeling, extrusion is very, very, very important, especially if you're going to be a character creator or a character development artist. So this is very important. This particular class is really, really important. So if I were you, I would keep practicing till, like they would say, let your hand be strong. So that you would be skilled enough for for the next course. Right, one more thing before we close. If you notice, when we separated this object from this object, now the separated object still has the origin point of this one. So if we try to scale it, it will scale according to that origin point, which is not what we want. I just noticed it now. So let's quickly correct that. So what you do is you clear the origin point for this one and make the origin point for and give it its own origin point. So how do we do that? Just press control and press A and apply all. So apply the transformation, right? So you can see that it adds the origin point automatically to this one, but we want to be precise. So you come to object mode, set origin to geometry. So you see, so it now has its own origin point. So if we want to scale or rotate it along its own origin point. Okay, so I think that's it. And smooth, add smooth to it, auto smooth. Okay, great. So I'll see you in the next class. Bye.